Thank you, recording in progress. I've got that. Hello, lovely people. This is hopefully a little bit of a participatory session. So if you're willing to turn your cameras on and your sound on, that would be fantastic. I'm just going to give it another few seconds just to see who we've got in the house. Kia ora, kia ora. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Just giving it another few seconds before we kick off. And if anyone else wants to turn their cameras on, I promise that you will not be expected to do anything out of the ordinary. So if you want to, have a little opportunity to play on a Wednesday afternoon, do switch on and come join us in the Zoom room. Okay, I think I'm going to get started and underway. I believe we're a 1:15 session. Makes me slightly nervous now. I'm like, is it supposed to be 1:20? But let's go anyway. Does anyone know if it's supposed to be 1:20 or 1:15? Can I get a Claire or a Man to go, it's now, or no, wait 3 minutes?
No, I think it's now, like 1:15.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Claire, NZ. Lovely. Kia ora koutou, everyone. I'm Nicola from Voice Arts. I am a Pakeha woman with sort of mousy brown, slightly blonde hair just below my shoulders. And today I'm wearing a green merino top because it's cold here in Wellington, where the wind is blowing and the rain is coming down, and it is not a very nice day. So I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to be with some of you this afternoon at the conference. So this is the plan for the next 45 minutes. I've got 4 outcomes, and for each outcome, I've got 2 games and exercises that I would like to share with you. One I'd like to do with you, if we can actually play that together, and one I will talk you through just for ease of time, and I hope that these will be useful for you. I think you have access to my email address. If at the end of this session there was any activity that we did where you go, I just can't remember what we did after that point, please flick me an email and I will send you through clear written instructions on how to facilitate this activity. Okay, I'm just going to start with a little introduction to Voice Arts. We are a creative space in Wellington. We're not a bricks and mortar creative space. We work out in the community using existing halls and community centres and retirement village environments, anywhere where there's an accessible, warm, comforting space that's local and easy for people to get to. And the reason that we can do that is that all we need in the room is a facilitator and the people themselves. We don't have a lot of resources that we need to carry with us, so we can create a performance space anywhere that we land. We have about 14 weekly classes that run here in Wellington, creative classes for people in the community to attend for free. And in those spaces, we use the games and exercises of applied improvisation and devised theatre. Some of you may be familiar with the TV program, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Or you may have seen some improv at a local theatre. We don't do any of that. However, when an improviser gets on stage, they have no idea what is about to happen or what is going to come out of their mouths. And yet working together moment to moment, if it's good improv, they will create beautiful, engaging, powerful scene work. And it's not luck that makes that happen, it's training. And it's hundreds of games and exercises that improvisers use to train themselves to be able to be on stage and to be present, to actively listen, to ensure that their scene partner looks good, to focus their attention on story and the audience. And we take all of those beautiful games and exercises, we adapt them, and we use them in an applied setting in the community for emotional and social well-being and development. Voice arts, we work mostly with those over the age of 65, 70, including those living with dementia, and we work with former refugees and new migrants. So that's a little bit about us. Okay, so one of the first outcomes is cognitive stimulation and a little bit of brain health. And so I want to lead you through an activity that we're going to do with our hands. So if you can, please do this with me. And once again, an invitation to turn your cameras on if you want to. It's just really nice to see people if you can. Otherwise, hopefully you can see my hands. So I want to acknowledge Wiramu Sarich, a beautiful man from Kirikiri who teaches Indigenous Māori games. And so the play was so important and remains important, I'm sure, for education and for passing down of traditional knowledge and understanding. And he shared this game with me, and I love it, and we're going to play it today. I'm going to do it with you in Te Reo, just because it's Thursday afternoon. No, it's not even Thursday afternoon. Oh my God, it's Wednesday, but my brain needs a little bit of a cognitive stretch. So I'm going to do it in Te Reo, but you can do this in English or any language if you want. We are going to count from 1 to 7 using our hands. Okay, so this is number 1, people. 1. Beautiful. So tahi rua. Rua is a fist curled up and on the flat of your hand. Nice. Tahi rua. Beautiful. Tahi rua toru. So our thumb goes onto the flat palm of our hand and our fingers stretch out like a tree. Tahi rua toru. Fa. There's a little interlace of the fingers. Tahi rua toru. Fa. Rima just is the opposite of toru. Fa, rima. Tahi, rua, toru, fa, rima, onu. Onu, we have our hands up like we're a little flower, and beautiful. Tahi, rua, toru, fa, rima, onu, and whetu is our mountain. Tahi, rua, toru, fa, rima, onu, whetu. Last one is waru. It's our 2 fists together like this. And so that's our 1 to 7. So this is an activity that you play seated or standing. You play with people who have mobility in their hands, but even with people who sometimes struggle with mobility in their hands. And I work this activity in a dementia space where the using of hands and the movement of hands is quite restricted as part of the diagnosis. And yet still, we just work slowly and invite people to move their hands into whatever position they can get them into is beautiful. This lovely working of the hands when we move like this is a beautiful cognitive neurological stretch that's happening out here. We're connecting our hands with memory and with numbers, and work really slowly for your group until they get this lovely rhythm nicely going. And then the layering is the invitation to speed it up and to invite speed with it. And if you're facilitating this exercise, you'll know whether your group needs speed or whether simply having done this beautiful activity slowly and very meditatively, it can be quite soporific to just move slowly through this. But just because I need a little wake up this afternoon, let's just add some speed to it. So if you're there with me, and I can see a few of you, yay, let's just work it through as fast as we can. Okay, so here we go. Tahi, rua, toru, fa, rima, onu, whetu, waru. And you know, for me there, I could see my brain had a moment where it just went, I don't know what I'm doing. And the exercises that we do and the spaces that we create, we invite that experience of people to sort of feel like, and to make what might be defined as a mistake or a failure, but in the spaces that we create, we embrace all of that. And in fact, if everybody does it right, then it's no fun. And so we want to create opportunities for people to go, and then we have this lovely joyful moment together. So that's one activity. I call it seed hands, because the story behind it is the planting and the growing of seeds. Yeah, it's one of my lovely favorite warm-up brain activities. Beautiful. So a second activity for cognitive stimulation and brain health, I'm going to talk you through this one. If you need to close your eyes to imagine something, please do. So what I'm imagining is that you have a group of people sitting or standing in a circle. And the first thing that you're going to invite people to do is everyone to raise a hand like this. And as the facilitator, you are going to look across the circle and you are going to call somebody's name sitting across from you, anyone at all, but not beside you, across from you. And if you don't know that person's name, if you're facilitating a group for the first time, you just simply go, hey, what's your name? And I call to that person and I say, Jasmine. Jasmine puts her hand down and she calls somebody across the circle from her. So Jasmine might go, Fred, who's sitting across from her, and Jasmine's hand now goes down and it's with Fred. Fred's going to call someone across the circle from him, and we go on like this until everybody's got their hand down, and the last person will be looking for a hand up, and then I will, as the facilitator, say, send it to me. So they will say Nicola, and I will have ended it. So I, as the facilitator, I start it by throwing it to Jasmine and it ends by coming back to me. So what we've created there is a random order, a random circuit, and this game we call circuit. So it's gone from Jasmine across the circle, she's called it to Fred, Fred's called it to Amelia, Amelia's called it to Bob, Bob's called it to me. And now once we've done that once, I invite the group to remember two things if possible. Who did they call and who called them? And I asked them to look around the group and use their two hands to point to Jasmine. I called Jasmine and Bob called me. Bob's sitting over there, Jasmine's here. Okay, I think I've got that. And if people need help with that, you use the group. I can't remember who called my name? Oh, that was you. Beautiful. And then we started again. And so as the facilitator, I start. I go, Jasmine. Jasmine throws it to Fred. Fred throws it to Amelie. Amelie throws it to Bob. Bob throws it back to me. That's like, cool, we've done that again. Let's do it again. I go, Jasmine. Jasmine goes to Fred. We're embedding the circuit that was random. Now we're locking it in so people can remember it. So Jasmine, blah, 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 and we've got it. When we think that we've got this and everybody's got the names down right, and you can play this activity with 5 people, with 10 people, with 30 people. I think probably the most I've played it with is about 30, 35 people. Once you've got that circuit, then you start to add again this element of speed. Okay, so you introduce that we want to go around as fast as we can. And so it's Jasmine, Fred, Bob, Amelia, back to me. And of course, we're going to muck it up and that's joyful. I might use a timer to see if we can beat our speed once we've got this game bouncing around. Another layer that I add for this activity is I ask people either to turn around if they can or to close their eyes, and to do this without any visual cues. And again, we're trying to keep speed up. I go Jasmine with my eyes closed and she feeds it through. It's a lovely little cognitive thing. You've got to follow it as it goes round. Remember your 2 people. And yet it's a beautifully simple activity. I've got a couple of layers that I want to introduce to that activity. Hi, Kim, nice to be able to see you. One of them is the introduction of balls. And so if you've got a group that has the capacity to catch a ball, this is a lovely activity to introduce. I say to the group, can you juggle? Does anyone in this group know how to juggle 3 balls? And most people will say no. And then I'll say, well, guess what? I reckon we can do it. And I bring out 1 tennis ball and I throw it to Jasmine. And Jasmine throws it to Fred, and Fred throws it to her, and it comes back to me. And I go, great. And I throw it again. Jasmine, here you go. Here's the ball. Jasmine passes it around. And then I pull out 2 other balls and I say, guess what I'm going to do next? I throw the ball to Jasmine. I wait a beat. I throw the second ball to Jasmine. I wait a beat, and I throw the third ball. And there are 3 balls now making their way through the circuit, and of course they will get dropped and roll under chairs, and we embrace all of that. But possibly there's this opportunity where for a moment you might get 3 balls moving around this beautiful group up in the air, and you have your group juggling 3 balls. If the idea of using balls in your circuit just feels like it's not a good idea, catching's difficult, trying to chase a ball is going to be difficult for people, tuck that idea away. And what I would love you to play with is this idea of passing a performative, playful element to it. So then I'm going to say, right, I'm going to call Jasmine's name a certain way. And the way that I do it, Jasmine, I want you to do the same for Fred. So I'll start with something really beautiful and big and joyful. I might go, hi, Jasmine. And she will go to her. Jasmine will go, hi, Fred. And around it will go in this madness. And then I will introduce lots of different variations. At some point, I will go, Jasmine. And that's a delightful one. And Jasmine will send that around. At some point, I might go, Jasmine, come here. And that will go around. I might go, Jasmine, over. And we just pass this beautiful, playful, performative element. And again, because we're all in it as a circle, no one's going to stop to question it. Everyone's just going to play it. And people are going to have this lovely, playful, performative experience. Okay. So seed hands, and that one is called circuit. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to take a break before we go on to the other outcome. And I just want to talk, sorry, I've got some notes in front of me here. I want to talk through just some of these spaces that applied improvisation is being used in terms of learning and development and well-being. So applied improvisation is being used in training emergency response teams. So emergency management and emergency response is trained basic skills that often rely on a routine. But they talk about, in the industry, they talk about how routine kills, because in an emergency, you are never going to get exactly what you have trained for. You need to be able to respond to the unexpected. So a spontaneous, flexible mindset that's adaptable to change. And that's exactly the muscle that we train when we do all of these lovely games and exercises. So it's used in emergency management. It's being used to support people who are homeless, who are transitioning, who are wanting not to be homeless and transitioning into full housing for themselves. And particularly in the space when you're transitioning through that process, it's often overwhelming for people. And it's helping people to deal with the overwhelm, that time where your brain just goes, I don't know, just almost shuts down. It's too much. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what to say for that. I don't know what to do in this moment. And so the games and exercises of improv are a beautiful way of creating safe spaces for brains to have an experience of, I've got nothing. I don't know what to do right now. And to take a moment to just allow that experience, to sit in it, and to see how the brain will work through to a response. And so we have a number of games and exercises that create an environment for people to experience overwhelm and then work their way out of that into a response. And so they learn a more trusting relationship with their brain in that time. And these activities train that while being beautifully joyful and effortless. It's been used in climate change to support crucial conversations and embodied learning. It's been used in science communication. If you Google the Alan Alda Center for Science Communication in Stony Brook, New York, it's training scientists to communicate their learning in a way that is accessible, and it's all based on applied improvisation. Trust and relationship is key as science tries to communicate itself to lay people, and they bring scientists in and train them. It's been used in psychological safety in hospitals, where a mistake is life and death, but often within a hospital environment, there is a hierarchy and people are fearful of that hierarchy. And if I think I've mucked up and I've made a mistake, if I don't feel safe within my team, I'm probably going to keep my mouth shut and keep my fingers crossed that my mistake doesn't cause the death of somebody. But if I feel that there's psychological safety in my team, I'm going to say, I've made a mistake, and I know that the people around me are going to go, okay, tell me what that is, and let's work with accepting mistakes and building on them. So those are just some areas that applied improv has been used. Let's do some more play. Hi, Lizzie. Thanks for joining us. Joy and laughter. Oh, yay. I think all of the activities that we do in applied improv can have joy and laughter. So, but I've just chosen a couple. If you, those of you that are with me, if you want to turn your cameras on, this would be awesome. And even if you don't want your camera on, keep your camera off, but turn your mic on, because I'd love to play this game with you. I'm not sure how it's going to work online, but I'd love to be able to do it. So if you can, unmute yourself. So this is a really simple game that you hear it and it sounds really simple, but when you play it in a group, it's just really joyful and creates lovely spontaneous laughter. Essentially, I want you to imagine that this is being delivered in a group, again, a seated or a standing circle. And we do this as a facilitator. I'm going to start off. If I want to move to my right, I'm going to say the word yes, and I'm going to pass to my right. If I want to pass to my left, I'm going to say no. And that's all we've got. Because of this activity and that we're not in a circle, I'm going to use names. So if I want to go yes and pass it on, I'm going to go, yes, Claire. If Claire doesn't want it and she wants to pass it back to me, she's going to say no, Nicola. If she wants to pass it on, she'll say yes, Emin, and she'll pass it on to somebody else, or yes, John, or yes, Lizzie, or yes, Alex. And if any of you want to pass it back because you don't want to receive it, you'll say no and use that person's name. Can we just try that? Okay, so I'm going to go, yes, Alex.
I've forgotten what I'm supposed to do. I'm having trouble with my camera.
Don't worry about your camera, Alex. Just see if you can listen. So you, Alex, if you don't want it, if you want to pass it back to me, then you'd say no, Nicola. Great. So it's come back to me, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, Lizzie.
No.
and you'll say my name just because we're not in a circle. Nicola.
Nicola, sorry. I'm just
yes, that's all right. Yes, Claire.
Yes, Nicola.
So if you want to say yes, Claire, it's passing it on. So give it to somebody else if you can.
Yes. Yes, Emma.
Oh, here we are.
Yes, JT.
Yes, Nicola.
No, JT.
Yes, Claire.
Yes, Lizzie.
Yes, Sandra.
Oh, I can't even see Sandra, but I love that you can.
I can see that she's in here. Okay.
Oh, great. Okay, beautiful. Okay, look, I'm just going to hold it there. That was a very brief experience of it. But I want, if you can, again, I want you to imagine that this is in a seated circle. And the yes, hi, Sandra. The yes passes to your right, the no passes to your left. And what happens is that you get these lovely little argy-bargies where I go, yes, Claire, and Claire says, no, Nicola. And I go, yes, Claire, and she says, no, Nicola. And you have these moments and it causes a beautiful, joyful eruption because people watch that and it's just lovely. When you're in a seated circle, you don't need to use names. You just go yes, or to my left, no. And again, I could get into a little argue with someone. No, no, yes, yes. And then if you want to layer this up, you use the word okay to go across the circle. So I can go across to somebody with the word okay. So again, I just call this activity yes, no. And it's so simple and so joyful. Once people get that you can block and go, no, yes, no. And people find different, beautiful ways to express those two simple ways. No, Claire, no. Yes, yes, John, yes. And it's just a lovely invitation to be a little bit performative with a simple language. And in these little moments that you have with the person sitting to your right or to your left, you're building a social connection with them. When we play with people like this, there's an intimacy that's created that I think doesn't happen in any other spaces. Okay, I'm going to park that because of time. I want to move on to something else. This is another game that I think I played this just yesterday with a group and we howled with laughter. And I'm going to talk you through it. So a whiteboard, if you've got it in your space, and a whiteboard marker is great. If you don't, a piece of paper and a pen. And you're going to go again around your group and you're going to ask people, you're going to ask one person to start with. In fact, I'm just going to do this right now. Emma, sorry, you've muted yourself. Emma, can you give me a letter of the alphabet, please? Any letter that you like?
Q.
Thank you very much. Claire, can you give me a letter of the alphabet, please? Any letter at all, a letter you like?
C.
Great, thank you. John, can you give me a letter of the alphabet, please? One that you really like. You're right.
Yes.
S, thank you. Alex, can you give me a letter of the alphabet that you really like?
E.
M, beautiful. And I might just go around two more people and I might get a T and a V and a U. And I've written these letters up on the whiteboard. I might even try and sort of slightly stand in front of it so they can't see as I'm writing it up on the whiteboard. And so I'll just turn and call people, or if I've worked with the group well enough and I know the order they're sitting in, I will just call people's names. And then I will step back from the board and I will reveal this word. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. Screenshot. But it basically is a jumble of letters that we're going to decide is a word. And the first thing that you do is you ask participants in their own time to wrap their mouths around that word. And inevitably, because people love Q's and X's and no vowels, you'll get this random word. So the word that we came up with sounds like this. See, again, I'm struggling with it straight away and it just makes me laugh. So straight away, you've got people laughing as they try to sound this out. Kukusamatuv, 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 kukusamatuv. And then I will say, unfortunately, I don't know what that word means, kukusamatuv. I have no idea. But Claire, thank God you're here, because Claire, I understand you know what that word means. Could you tell us what that word means, please? And straight away they're on the spot, but people get that you're playing, right? And so Claire's going to go, so what does it mean, Claire?
Well, kukusamatu is the very fine art of shaping and weaving to make cats.
Yes, it is. And whatever, again, the room breaks up with laughter because anything that people come up with is going to be delightful and joyful. And in this applied improv space, every offer is the right offer. You cannot get it wrong. And it's such a beautiful, safe space for people to play in. And so you just go, yes, it's something that we use to weave and shape cats. Thank you, Claire. And Claire has this moment of feeling really valued. Like, I just made stuff up and everyone's just gone, well done, yay. And it's a beautiful experience for people to have. And then I, scrap that word and go around again and, start with somebody else. Can you give me one letter from the alphabet? And I would just go around and do this as many times as you've got time for. So I just call this a word define game. Yep, beautiful. Hope you can use that one. Okay, so how are we going for time? 15 minutes, great. I just want to talk a little bit very briefly about some of the theories that sit behind the work that we do here at Voice Arts. So some of you in your studies or in your work may have come across the Russian child psychologist Lev Vygotsky. And he's one of the beautiful people whose work and whose theories in terms of child development is one that we hold very tightly to here at Voice Arts. So he identified, 1920s Russian child psychologist, he identified in his studies of children and their development that their development was done performatively, that children perform as walkers and perform as speakers before they can walk and before they can speak. So those of us that are parents or who have engaged with children will know the experience when a child goes, "Now, is it under the shoes in the park?" And as a parent, we don't say, "Sorry, what? I don't understand what you just said. You don't make sense to me." We say, we yes and the child, and we say, "Yes, that's right. We're going to put our shoes on and we're going to go to the park." The child is attempting to perform as a speaker, and we are their scene partner, and we are yes-anding them and supporting their development. This continues throughout childhood when kids say, "Sit down, Dad, you're the student, I'm going to teach you how to do your reading." And again, as a parent, we don't say, "Sorry, you're not a teacher, and I teach you how to read." We go, "Oh, all right, Sammy, I'm sitting down." And the child has an experience of performing. And Lev Vygotsky talked about this as, he described this term of being a head taller, the child being a head taller than they were, this idea that they are who they are and who they are becoming in the same moment. And that this was a crucial tool for development, and that it happened in relationship with other people. It was never done in solitary confinement on your own. It was always done within zones of proximity with other people. And of course, we get to a certain age in life where we're not to play anymore. Your identity is set. You are who you have become. You're not to grow anymore. You're not to try and become. And we stop all of that performative play. And the only people that get to perform are people that are experienced, trained actors. So what we try to do here at Voice Arts is create spaces for adults to continue their development through performance again. And it's a love, and development is a lifelong journey, and people need spaces to keep developing until the day they die. And I'm sure we all know that. And this performative tool, this lovely playful tool that we have here, is a lovely opportunity for people just to experience themselves and who they have the potential to become. And all of those activities, they don't feel necessarily like performance, but they all have elements of a performance in them. People are stepping up and embodying something, using their voice to say, "It's a tool used to shape and sculpture cats." That is a small performance that Claire offered us. Okay, I'm going to park that. And I'm going to move on to activating the imagination. And I've got two activities that I want to do here. I'm going to share my screen because I'd like to do this activity with those of you that are with me. So again, if you can turn, if you can turn your mics on, please, that would be awesome. So this is called a story spine. And it's basically, we're going to tell, we're going to co-create a story together, using one sentence at a time. And we use this lovely story structure that makes it super safe and super easy for us to create a sentence. So I'm going to start and again, as a facilitator, I might start this. It depends on the group, just to give them a sense of it, or I might get other people to do it. So I'm going to start, and it's one sentence. Okay, we're asking people just to complete one sentence. So I'm going to start. Once upon a time there was, and I'm going to choose a character and locate them. That's all I have to do with this first line. Once upon a time there was a queen, and she lived I'm just going to do something obvious. She lived in a castle. And that's it. That's my job done. Beautiful. And then I'm going to move on to the next person, Claire. Claire, every day the queen does something. What's something that she does every day, Claire?
Every day she walks the castle and inspects the grounds to make sure that everything is just how it should be.
Beautiful. And Emma, what else does she do every day? So she walks around the castle, she's inspecting everything, making sure it's top notch. What else does she do every day?
And every day she climbs up on the roof and dances.
I love that. Okay, so there is a queen in a castle. And again, as a facilitator, I might just recap every time we move on. There's a queen in a castle. She inspects everything. Then she climbs up on the roof and then she dances. But suddenly, John, suddenly one day, something
yeah.
unexpected, John. What do you think?
Suddenly one day, all was not okay. She noticed, as she came down from dancing on the roof, that in the attic stairwell was a crack in the wall.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, John. Alex, I'm not quite sure if you're still with us, if you can hear us, but Alex, I'm going to try you. Alex, because of that,
She went to the beach.
crack. Because of that, what happens?
And because of it, she went to the beach.
Because of that, she went to the beach. I love that she turns her back on the crack. Kim, and because of that, she goes to the beach. And because of that, what happens? Kim.
Because of that, she never returns back to the castle.
Great. And sorry, I've just gone to my screen. And so from that day on, and I'm just going to throw it back to you, John. So from that day on,
she decides to never live in a castle again.
The end. Beautiful. And I mean, hopefully, I'm hoping that all of you can see how freaking delightful that was. I just love the idea that she turned her back on that crack and went to the beach. And so I have this printed out on a piece of paper and I just hand it around to people. I get people to do it in pairs or to do it in a full group. And it's just a lovely, safe structure to activate imagination and just create beautiful, sometimes nonsensical, everything's accepted and built on offers for a story. Great, thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing that. And then I'm just going to talk you through another activity that we use a lot here called the gift, and that is and again, I imagine a seated circle or a standing circle, and as a facilitator I'm going to go to my right. The idea is that it's the person's birthday to your right and you have brought them a gift, and you're going to choose whatever gift that is. You're going to use your hands maybe to show the size or the shape of that, and you're just simply going to go, hold something tiny, it might be, and I might hand it to the person to my right and go, happy birthday, Claire. I got this tiny little marble for you, and I hand it to Claire, and all Claire's job is to accept my marble. Here's your marble, Claire, for your birthday.
Ooh, I like it. Thanks, Nicola.
You're so welcome. I knew you would love it.
Yeah,
and it's a tiny exchange. And then Claire is going to turn to the person to her right, and she's going to come up with a gift, and that can go around the circle. And you're just activating people's imaginations. They have to think of a gift that might be nice. So that's one level of it. It's really, really simple. Another, if you want to activate this slightly higher cognitively, is that as the giver, I don't name the gift. So I use my hands to shape it. So I might go like this. And I might say, Claire, it's your birthday. I got this for you. I hope you like it. And I pass it to her without naming it. And Claire's job is to name it.
Oh, you know what? I've been waiting for this for my violin,
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this bow.
I knew you would love it. Yeah. And Claire is responsible for naming the gift whatever she wants. And if I had thought that I was passing her a feather, that she names it as a tiny violin, then that's what it is. And I have to accept that offer and go, I'm glad that you like the tiny violin. So I'm having an experience of, oh, well, that wasn't what I had in mind, but I'm going to park what I had in mind, because what's important here is my relationship to Claire. And if I block her and I say, no, Claire, it's not a violin, I gave you a feather, then I've blocked our ability to build with the idea that Claire had and for this lovely relationship to exist. And so there's a lot in play with that, and people find it really challenging, but it's really lovely as well. And just one more layer to the gift. one of my favorites in it, this is called the worst gift. And sometimes I just facilitate this. I conceive of awful gifts to give people, and they have to accept them. Thank you, Sandra, 5 minutes. They have to accept them with joy and delight, and they have to say why this is the perfect gift for them. So Emma, I'm just going to put you on the spot. Emma, I have collected all of the hair from my shower plug. I've been saving it, and it's a big ball of hair from my shower plug, and I'm gifting it to you, and I pass it to Emma, and Emma's going to tell me why that is the best gift ever.
You know, I'm so delighted because I had my quagga doodle thing, and I needed to make a new cat, and I had no materials with which to do it. So it's going to be a drain hair cat. Thank you.
Yes, so I love it. And Emma and I have had this moment of just joyful connection together, and it's been lovely. And I might have 10 worst gifts in my pocket and go around and give one to each person and support them to find a way to embrace it. I pull out chewing gum from my mouth, I hand dead mice, a pen where the inks run out, a whole bunch of CD covers without CDs in it, anything you can think of, and just try and create that space. Okay, so that's activating the imagination. Oh, we're running out of time. I want to introduce you very quickly to Brian Sutton-Smith. He is a New Zealand play theorist, not with us anymore. He was born in New Zealand and he studied at Victoria University, got his PhD there, but then moved to the States and did most of his work in the States. But he is, for me anyway, he is renowned in my world for this comment: the opposite of play is not work, it is depression. And the whole foundation of his work was this idea that the evolution of play was done to help us as human beings to find the necessary joy to support us through the existence of being human, which is often a perilous place to be. Humanity is tricky, and life can be messy, and it can be hard and enduring. And the reason as human beings why we have evolved this concept of play is to bring us joy. And if we strip it from our lives, we are miserable. And so I love that quote, and I just encourage you all know this, I'm talking to the Reformed, you know how to use play beautifully in your spaces. All right, deeper connection. Oh my God, I've got 2 minutes to do this. Okay, I'm going to very quickly talk you through something rather than demonstrating. So this is a drawing activity. So for the visual artists amongst us, yay. In pairs, there is a large piece of paper between the pair and one pen. And you ask the first person, person A, so decide who is A, who is B. Person A is to draw an eye in the center of the page, any eye that they want. Just take their time with the one pen to draw an eye. Okay, and they've got this lovely eye. They're going to pass the piece of paper to B, and B is asked to do the second eye. And inevitably, the second eye will look different. So now there are two eyes, and then the paper gets passed back to A. A, can you draw the nose, please? A draws the nose. The paper gets passed to B. B, can you draw the shape of the face around the eyes and the nose? And you get the flow of it. A will draw an ear, B will draw an ear. A will draw an eyebrow, B will draw an eyebrow. A will draw one lip, B will draw one lip. And then you have a face, this beautiful mixed up messy face. And then you say to people, right, you're going to name this face. We want a name for this character. And A is going to write the first letter, B is going to write the second letter, a little bit like that game we just did, one letter at a time until they come up with a name. And so there's this weird, unusual name that this face has. And then you're going to ask them to give an age. And again, A is going to write one number down on the page, and B is either going to put a number in front of that or on the other side of that, or no number at all. It's their choice. So you've got a name, an age, and this face. And then we come back as a group and we get that pair to introduce their face, their character, the name of them and their age. And then I facilitate the conversation just like, okay, so cool. So what do they do? And I don't know, ask them anything. And as a pair, this couple has to agree, are they married? I don't know. Yeah, yes, they're married. Yes, they're married. Okay, great. They're married. Do they have kids? Yeah, and we decide together, yes, we have kids. It's a lovely drawing, visual, but co-creating activity. It's 2 o'clock. I've got to go. You've got my email address, any activity that you want more information about, or if you want to reach out to Voice Arts or myself about anything, please do. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you're all enjoying the conference, and yeah, have a nice afternoon, everyone. I'm exhausted. Goodbye.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Nicola.
much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being with me. It was a pleasure. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your days. Goodbye, goodbye. I think I might have to end the meeting. I'm not quite sure. Yes. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sandra. That was great. Leaving the meeting. Bye.